Okay, and as usual, we are preparing to go live, but we are here. So welcome to another episode of See Through. This is our podcast where we talk about devotional topics, help see each other through this path of devotion, which is kind of ongoing and never ending. There was a bit of a get together yesterday, and we were talking our little community here in New York. And we were kind of talking about the idea of success on the spiritual path and how success is really about the constant endeavor, just constantly making an endeavor to keep trying. And that really is the marker of success on this path. And how, Krishna says there is no loss or diminution on this path of bhakti. But what does that actually mean? That actually means that we cannot fail. Krishna has kind of set up this entire situation. He's rigged it so that we cannot fail. We are absolutely built for success at all moments, at all times. And that doesn't mean that we should just do whatever we want and forget about Krishna. That actually means that we should think about Krishna more. How merciful, how wonderful is our Lord that he has kind of, you normally see a situation that's like rigged or built for failure. But here Krishna has done the complete opposite. He's made it so that we cannot fail. All we can do is succeed and win. So this is one of those episodes, one of those times where we get to see each other through that process. So happy to be here with all of you. Happens to be the day after my birthday. So thank you to anyone and everyone who sent birthday wishes. I think there were hundreds of them. There were so many of them. I really felt honored and blessed and really just touched to have all of you as a part of my life. So thank you. Thank you all for being my friends, and thank you all for jumping in and making this birthday one of the best yet. I think I wind up saying that every year, and I'm going to hope that I keep saying it as I continue, hopefully living and getting older. Every year I go to my sister and I'm like, oh, really? I was like, how old am I? And then my sister's like, well, you're not dead, so like that's always her thing. At least you're getting older because then it means you haven't died. So as long as I continue to keep getting older and continue living, I hope that I continue saying that you all have made each birthday better than the last one. So thank you for being here. Thanks for being with me. And it is Mother's Day in the US and in several other parts of the world, but other parts of the world also have other Mother's Days. But any day is a good day. Um, the Vedas and Bhakti speak about having several mothers, right? And it's not just the idea of having one mother who's given you birth. Yes, we have that one. We also have the wife of the teacher or a senior devotee who's female. That's considered our mother. We have a person who nurses you, takes care of you. That's also a mother. We have the cow as a mother. We have the earth as a mother. We have so many different mothers that are around us. So honestly speaking, any day could be Mother's Day. So I'm glad that I get to spend this Mother's Day with all of you and just have a chat. Read through Krishna book, read through these sacred literatures, and really just find out about Krishna's own relationship with his mothers. And he has more than one. In fact, he even has more than two. There are so many that he considers to be his mothers. Like, and then there's a car. But why are we revving? What you have to understand about my street is that there's nowhere to go. Where are they going? There's kind of like there's like a red light at the bottom, there's a red light at the top. Where are we going? But I feel like that's also us with the life. Like we're always constantly in a rush. We're like revving our engines in a rush. And where are we going? Half the time it's nowhere. But we left off in the middle of a chapter with the demigods praying to Krishna in the womb of one of his mothers. And this mother we're speaking about is Devaki. Devaki is the wife of Vasudev, and she is considered the mother who has given birth to Krishna. But also we're going to hear about Yashoda. And sometimes we hear about Yashoda in the aspect of a foster mother. But what we also hear from, and what we will hear from Garga Samhita and from very many other um, accounts of Krishna's life, is that Krishna is so mystical that he can take birth in two places at once. So we're going to hear about some kind of mystical occurrences, but his relationships with his mothers it's always incredibly sweet. This idea of Vatsalya Ras, or parental affection, is so important within bhakti. It becomes a very integral part of devotion, of religious performance, of devotional service. And we have so many different rasas or tastes or relationships that one can have with the Supreme Person. So we have the idea of servitor, right? You have this idea of God is here, I'm over here, and we keep that, we maintain that distance, that respectful distance. We have that idea of serving the divine as a servitor, and that's kind of where we see a lot of religious practices, right? God is here, we're here, and the two should maintain that separate relationship. Then we have the idea of vatsalya. We have this parental affection, and it gets a little bit deeper. And even in Christianity, we see this relationship between Mary and Jesus. Like, we have this idea of divinity, and then we have the parental aspect. And what we find out is that God kind of looks at that relationship and sees that the parents are actually enjoying this more than the children. Right? The children, you kind of get to experience, okay, my parents love me, hopefully. Our parents love us. But you experience this idea, my parents love me, and you understand, okay, they're doing what they can to do the best for me, and that's kind of where it stops. We might feel some gratitude, right? We definitely feel the love, and we reciprocate the love of our parents. But when you become a parent and you have this one dependent, that love goes so much deeper. You can kind of think of it even with a pet. You get a pet and you love that pet, and the pet also reciprocates that affection. But sometimes we, as taking care of the pet, we're constantly thinking about the pet. We're constantly making sure, okay, does my pet have water? Does my pet have food? Does my pet need me to be home at a certain time? Right? It's kind of almost like that with children. And we're constantly thinking, okay, I want to do the best for this child. I want to do the best for this person in my care. So this Vatsalya relationship goes a little bit deeper. Then we have this relational aspect of being a friend or even a sibling. And we've got this friendship with God, or being even an elder sibling. Balaram is considered also within. He kind of goes between this aspect of Sakya and Vatsalya. So Sakya is being a friend with the Supreme Person, and Vatsalya, Balaram kind of straddles it because he's older brother, and so he's gotten charge of taking care of Krishna. His parents and Krishna's parents, everybody looks at him like, well, you're the elder brother. You must protect your brother like the eyelid protects the eye. No pressure. But he's supposed to make sure that his little brother is on the straight and narrow, that his brother is always doing the right thing, making sure that his brother doesn't go off the chosen path and go wayward. And he's also supposed to protect him, make sure nothing happens to him. So he's got both of these relationships, but it goes a little bit deeper. This aspect of Sakya and friendship starts to take away the majesty, starts to strip down what we call the awe and reverence, where now God is God, but now God's our friend. And so we have this with the cowherd boys, and even with Balaram, where Krishna will massage Balaram's feet, where the Gopas, the cowherd boys, who are Krishna's dearest friends, they wake up in the morning and the first thing they want to do is go run and see Krishna, where they don't want to be separated from Krishna for even a moment, where they all bring lunch But the goal of them bringing lunch is just to feed Krishna, where they steal Krishna's lunch, where Krishna takes the lunch from the hand of his friend, half eaten, which is a really big deal, right? Indian culture, sharing food, sharing drinks, sharing this essence of something that has already been touched by your lips is a really big deal. It's like a serious thing. It's like it goes with like etiquette of being polite and etiquette of being near somebody else. And so if you notice, a lot of people when they're drinking in India, they won't even touch the cup to their lips. Right? It's kind of like etiquette. It's being polite. It's this idea of, if anyone is near me and they need water, then they're considered a guest. Right? And so then I can share it because I haven't even touched it to my lips. It's like this idea of constantly being conscious of everybody else around you. Now you have Krishna, who's with his friends, and they're wrestling and they're tussling and then they're feeding each other. And sometimes the friend will say, "Oh, Krishna, I think I like your lunch better." And Krishna's holding his lunch in his hand, but it doesn't matter. And the friend's reached over and taken some already. Or Krishna says, oh, my dear friend, what did your mother pack for all of us today? Because all of the mothers in Vrindavan would make lunch for their sons, but really with the hope that they'd feed it to Krishna. So they always make enough so that the friends can share. And sometimes they go through lunch and they go and they roast each other during lunch. They have friends where they think, "Oh no, your grandmother can't cook." Bro, what happened? And there are so many accounts of them they're having lunch together, but they're all laughing with each other, right? They're joking with each other. They're making fun of each other. And this is devotional majesty at a totally different level, right? This is a relationship that is not often seen. We don't see them joking with God. We don't see them roasting God. We don't see them making fun of God. Sometimes they'll really roast Krishna. And they'll say, you are really interesting, Krishna. They say, Mother Jashoda is blue like you. But Nanda Maharaj, he's like the color of a sandalwood tree. So he's quite fair. And normally with the mixture of two parents, you get a child who's lighter than that combination, but you happen to be darker than both of your parents. And then Balaram steps forward. Big brother. And what does Balaram say? But, I think you were adopted. You ever have those siblings who always tell the other sibling, I think you were adopted. I think they went to the market and they bought you. And so it kind of lets us know that there is nothing that is here that is not in the spiritual world. Because how do you have an older brother that then tells God, I think you were adopted? In fact, I think they went to the market, they went to the bazaar, and then they bought you. And then they brought you home. Because, really, honestly, look at me, look at our family. It all seems to go in one direction. And you are the odd one out. And they make fun of Krishna so bad that he goes running home and he cries. And he cries to his mother. And he's like, again, Balaram and Dauji and all of the other boys are making fun of me. And Mother Yashoda is so sweet. Okay, what should I do? What do you want me to do in order to make this better? And she sets her son on her lap and she caresses his sweet face and she says, okay, what do you want me to do? And he says, well, I've come up with a plan. And Krishna's maybe about 3 or 4 at this point. And she says, well, what's your plan? He says, Maya, get me married immediately. She says, how is this going to fix your problem? And Krishna, in all of his 3-year-old wisdom, says, well, they've all made fun of me, but then if you get me married, I'll be married to the most beautiful girl in all of the entire world. And then I can say to them, well, it doesn't matter. You might think I'm adopted, or you might think that I'm darker than all of my family and all of my parents, but now I have the most beautiful wife and all of you are still alone. This is 3-year-old Krishna logic. So he says, Maya, get me married immediately. And then I'll be able to tell Dauji, I'll be able to tell Balaram, look, I have a beautiful wife and you've got no one. So she says, well, who do you have in mind? And he says, I'm just a small boy. These decisions are not really made by children. They're usually made by the elders in the family. But I have heard that you are great friends with a certain king of Varshana named Brishabhanu. And his wife Kirtida is your dearest friend. You're almost like sisters. And so I've heard that matches between families who are already friends make the best matches. So it seems as though their daughter, Radhika, would be a very good match. But you don't have to take my word for it. I don't know anything. All I know is that culturally, these make the best matches. So I think if you were to get me married to her, that would end all of my troubles. And Yashodharani hugs her sweet boy and says, Krishna, I think it's time for you to go to sleep. You should take a nap. Don't think about any of this anymore. Krishna, but are you sure? Because I really think that would end all of my problems. It's nap time. Just take a nap. And when Krishna wakes up, then she sends him out to play again, even though he doesn't want to. I'm never going out with them ever again. All they do is tease me. So this is Sakyaras. This is this relationship where you can be friends with the Supreme Person. And then we have so many. We have Madhurya, this most relishable sweetness where you're ready to give up anything and everything to just be near the object of your affection. We have a situation where not only can you be friends with the Supreme Person, not only can you love the Supreme Person and take care of the Supreme Person as a parent, not only can you serve the Supreme Person, you can serve the Supreme Person as a friend, but now you are giving your all in a place where they say, God can even become your beloved. Romantically, in the deepest way possible. And we think, is that really the end all be all? But we think about the deepest relationships that we have in our lives, those ones that even sometimes cause us the most trouble. It's those romantic relationships, the ones that everybody warns you about from the time when you're young, right? Where they know it's going to happen, but they try and warn you anyway. Like, maybe don't fall in love. It does a lot to your life. It kind of upends your whole, but this is the highest pinnacle of devotional success. This relationship where God is absolutely your beloved. These gopis are dropping everything to just go catch a glimpse of Krishna. And the most wonderful thing about bhakti is what they tell you is you don't miss out on any of the other rasas. You might think like, well, what happens to the other ones? No, they're all kind of encompassed. So all of the higher rasas encompass the ones before it. Which is why when you see Balaram and he has this Sakya ras, there's still a little bit of Vatsalya. There's still a little bit of that parental affection. Krishna's friends want to take care of him. Krishna's friends want to make sure that he's happy and comfortable, protected in all situations. There are cowherd boys who think, oh, there's a demon that's coming. Let me try and go fight it first. What are they going to do? They're small boys. But when they're near Krishna, they're bolstered by his confidence. Nothing can happen to us if Krishna's here. And in turn, they feel, let us protect Krishna with our lives. But you have the gopis. The gopis encompass every relational aspect and then more. And you want to talk about people who make fun of Krishna. There's no one who makes fun of Krishna like the gopis. There are gopis whose prime function it is in their entire lives is just to make fun of Krishna for the pleasure of the other gopis. And so they see him and they talk about him bad. Look at what are you wearing? How have you come to this assembly? Like he's such a simple cowherd, but like what's happening here? Your peacock feather is slanted, your turban's twisted to one side. But it's all for the pleasure of the other gopis because they know The purpose of them seeing anything is to just see what Krishna looks like that day. And they say that Krishna wears a variety of colors and a wide variety of outfits each day just to give the inhabitants of Vrindavan something to talk about. So when we take darshan, when we see deities, it should be a festival. We should be eager to see what will Krishna have on today, just so we can talk about it. And sometimes some of the things look outrageous. I remember our Radha Govinda, oftentimes they would be dressed with these huge feathers. And sometimes me and my sister, like, look at what's happening here. Like, do you see all of the feathers? Okay, I see you. And sometimes, you see old pictures of deities when they're worshipped in the 70s at the beginning of the movement. And you think, you're like, oh my goodness, look at, they really look like a blast from the past. Like, these deities really look like they were so much younger and they have grown up. It's like looking at baby pictures of your favorite people. And it's that charming familial laughter that you have with them, where sometimes, yes, you are having a joke at their expense, but it's never malicious. It's always your way of showing just how much you love the person. So this is the gopis with Krishna. And Krishna, likewise, he, respectfully, he gives them hell, like he really gives them a run for their money every day. My Guru Maharaj says that one of the things that Krishna does is he finds a new way to stress out the people that he loves every day. Whether it be the gopis, whether it be his friends, whether it be his parents, his mother, he finds a new way to stress them out every day. And when Krishna does it, you really get stressed out, right? Because it's not real if you're not stressed. Like my Guru Maharaj was saying, it's not really a test of material nature unless you feel tested. Right? If you think, oh, it's smooth sailing, I went through that like nothing. Yeah, that wasn't the test. The test is coming. So that's Krishna. Krishna will find ways to test you, and you will feel tested, because otherwise, is it really a test? And so he would find new and inventive ways, because he is supremely unlimited. So he would find supremely unlimited ways to stress out his parents every day. There are days he's going, and at 2 years old, right, you see a toddler and they're kind of just walking around, and then they get close to a cow bigger than their whole entire existence, or even a calf, and they'd grab onto the tails of the calves, and then they'd pull, and then the calves would run because the calves are now afraid, and now they're dragging these little babies all over the grounds of Vrindavan. This sounds like, oh, so cute. If you witness it, this is terrifying. It's like a 2-year-old being dragged around by a cow. You have no idea where this cow is going. You have no idea what this calf is going to do next. If they just step backwards, they might step on my little baby. Mother Yashoda is frantic. And all of the other gopis, the elder gopis, they're coming, and sometimes they're laughing and they say, oh, but it's okay. But look how sweet they look. And still, she's a little bit like, but what is going to happen with my child? And so this is Krishna. Not even counting the multitude of demons that were arriving on a near daily basis. So you think if that wasn't enough, then Krishna goes missing in a dust storm, which is not really a dust storm, but it's really a demon who's carried him miles and miles into outer space. But all the gopis know that they cannot find Krishna. They are frantic. So not only does Krishna trouble the people he loves, but then there's these demons that are coming in, adding, I guess, the spice to all of these pastimes. And all of our Vaishnavacharyas and our teachers, they tell us this is the spice that makes these devotional pastimes. For me, I'm like, I'm just stressed out. And I'm surprised that anybody has any hair left. Like the amount of stress that you go through with Krishna, what is the deal? So when we look at our lives and we think, Why? Why is life stressing me out? We should know that Krishna has a habit of doing this to his near and dear ones. He has a habit of making their lives this stressed out. And so sometimes I've taken to saying, okay, why? Why are you doing this to me? Is this really necessary? But Krishna, if nothing else, has a flair for drama. He loves the drama. This, I often, I say it very often to people who are saying, why would Krishna test my faith? Why would Krishna put me through all of these obstacles and put me in all of these tests? And then I say, you do realize you're talking about a supreme person who chose to be born in a jail cell at midnight in the middle of a thunderstorm hurricane. And you're asking why he's choosing to stress you out in your life. He did it to his parents. He's dramatic. This is the epitome of a drama king. Who else? Not even Jesus. I mean, Jesus's birth conditions were not optimal. You've got a manger and on a farm, and you just got animals and midwives and doulas, and you've got little goats helping coach you through this birth. Okay, that was intense. But in a jail cell at midnight, in the dark, no midwives, no doulas, no helpers, just you and chains and a dirty jail cell, which I cannot even imagine how it smells. In the middle of a rainstorm hurricane. This is God. And not only happening at midnight, but with the threat of death hanging over you. Because we've seen what Kamsa has done to the other children. Why? Why are you like this? Take it easy on your people. But this is Krishna and his parents. This is Krishna and his most intimate people. So we cannot think that our lives will be easygoing and smooth sailing. If we see the road is too clear, we should worry. Right? It's like if you're around kids, if you've ever babysat children and it's too quiet, then you worry. You're like, what did you do? What are you into? You are so occupied that you're that quiet. There's a problem. I feel like that's life. If life is too quiet, I'm like, oh, Krishna, what's happening? I only know. I know because I know who you are. What you're just waiting for it. You're like, oh no. And it doesn't have to be an oh no moment. Some of these modern day pastimes that God is having with us can turn out really sweet in the end. But I guarantee you in the middle, there's going to be some stress and there's going to be some heartache. And at any point, that's how I know that Krishna's really in charge and doing his thing. Because at some point, I wind up getting so frustrated that I just ask, why? Then that's how I know that that's Krishna. So he's going to trouble us. And if we think about it, all of the demigods already, all of the celestial inhabitants, they've been feeling this pressure, this trouble. There's this Kamsa who is wreaking all the havoc, every bit of havoc. And so now they're praying. They've prayed for the Supreme Person to make an advent, to make an appearance and save them all. And now they're praying, even though he's in the womb of his mother, who is in jail, in chains at the moment. So if this is how he treats his mom, if this is how he treats his parents, we have to know that the reversals that happen in our lives are such a minute fraction of that. Which is not to say somebody always has it worse than you. No. But it's supposed to give us hope that not only does Krishna give trouble to his near and dear ones, but he saves them in the most extraordinary and miraculous ways. So please know that if you are going through something and you feel like, why? Krishna, why are you stressing me out? Why are you testing me? Please know that it always follows with the most miraculous saving. So even though the troubles will come, so will the saving. Troubles and miracles, they go hand in hand. So please know that if you're in the midst of trouble, the miracle's coming. Promise. If we keep the faith, if we keep turning towards Krishna, the miracle is definitely coming. So we left off in the middle of a chapter, and the demigods are all praying. They've all kind of converged on the scene in a way that hopefully is not really creepy at all for poor Devaki. I feel like she's already dealing with enough. She's got a lot going on, and now there are unseen living entities praying to the child that she's just hoping will make it, because she's had to see the ghastly horror of so many children not making it, and at the hands of her brother. It's unfathomable, unimaginable, what Devaki has had to witness. And what an incredible personality the mother of the Supreme Person is, dealing with all of this. And it just becomes such austerity of the mind, heart, body, soul. This is austerity that tests you to the limits of your patience, your sanity, all of the above. 6 children she's seen kind of mercilessly killed by a person who was supposed to protect her, a person who was her elder brother, who was supposed to wish her well, who was supposed to be there for her. And every time I can only imagine you think, this has to be the end of the nightmare. Like, this person can't continue doing this. They wouldn't be that demonic. And yet, one after the other, Kamsa, no remorse. And so I can only imagine the I feel like it's a favorite word for today, but the trauma that is sitting with Devaki at this point, as she carries another child to term, not knowing what will happen with this child. And that is some kind of incredible faith. Devaki is so filled with faith. Vasudeva is so filled with faith that, with the hope that this 8th child will be the deliverance that everyone says that this child will be, they continue on. Because I know, I've had many conversations, and I've often said, I'm like, had it been me, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. After the first time, I'm like, you know what? Never mind. Never mind the whole thing. Even after the second one, you think, okay, never mind. Never mind. And the question that often comes, it's like, why did they keep having children? You see what's happening. Why would they keep having children? This is faith. Faith that there was we also have a lack of celestial voices from the sky, but there's a voice from the sky that promised that this child would be the deliverance for all of us. That is faith. Because at some point I'm like, voice or no voice, celestial voices be damned, I'm not doing this anymore. Because it takes a lot to carry this child to term, and then this atrocious thing happens. Witnessing it once would be enough. 6 times? That's years. This is years of heartache. And so Devaki is such an emblem of resilience, which I kind of hate to say it, because, resilience also implies that you haven't had anyone to protect you. You haven't had anyone to lean on. And so this emblem of resilience, but Krishna does make it better. Spoiler alert. Because in these intense situations, I feel like spoiler alerts are necessary. Krishna does make it better. And he actually does bring back the other 6 children. So it's not like a lost cause, right? See? Krishna makes it better. Krishna never forgets. He brings back the other 6 children. He like reunites them. They have a whole conversation later on. We'll get to that in Krishna book. They have a whole thing. And after Devaki and Vasudeva are eventually freed, and Krishna does eventually save them from this threat of Kamsa, Vasudeva does have other children. And so Krishna does have other siblings. So it's not all lost. Don't worry. Even though it looks really bleak right now, like it really looks like this is a no-win situation. Kamsa has done the worst. So Kamsa is currently thinking, what is to be done about Devaki? He looks at her and she's effulgent, and he knows that this kind of effulgence can only come from Vishnu, who has been foretold to kill him. So he thinks, what should I do? Then he thinks, well, I can't kill her. She's a woman, she's my sister, she's pregnant. What will that do to my reputation? Right? Like, some people think it's like, really? It's like, yeah, he's worried about the polls, like, how will that affect my poll ratings as king? It doesn't look great. And so, in all of his demoniac wisdom, he's thinking, better that I wait again till the child's born, then I kill the child. Because somehow, like, I can't kill my pregnant sister because she's a woman and that'll look bad. But somehow baby killing on the hierarchy of demoniac things, somehow you can explain that better. I don't know, bro. But it in his mind, he worked it out. And we have so many analogies that are happening in this chapter. But I wanted to get to a place where we hear the prayers of the demigods. So we're at a further paragraph that states, at the present, the demigods prayed, the Supreme Lord Krishna is appearing just for the maintenance of this manifestation. Actually, the supreme cause is one, but being deluded by the 3 modes of material nature, less intelligent persons see that the material world is manifested through different causes. Those who are intelligent can see that the cause is one, Krishna, as it is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of all causes. Brahma is the deputed agent for creation. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna for maintenance, and Lord Shiva is the expansion of Krishna for dissolution. Our dear Lord, the demigods prayed, it is very difficult to understand your eternal form of personality. Ain't that the truth? Just when you think you start understanding Krishna, and then you're like, I've lost it. It is so difficult to understand your eternal form of personality. People in general are unable to understand your actual form. Therefore, you are personally descending to exhibit your original eternal form. Somehow, people can understand the different incarnations of your lordship, but they are puzzled to understand the eternal form of Krishna with 2 hands, moving among human beings exactly like one of them. This eternal form of your lordship is ever increasing in transcendental pleasure for the devotees. But for the non-devotees, this form is very dangerous. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very pleasing to the sadhu. It is stated, Paritranaya sadhunam. But this form is very dangerous for the demons because Krishna also descends to kill the demons. He is therefore simultaneously pleasing to the devotees and dangerous to the demons. Now we might think it's like, really? What does that look like? It kind of looks like all of the Krishna kids adoring the form of Lord Nrsimha. right? And you see there's a picture of Lord Nrsimha, and there's blood everywhere. There's intestines and entrails. There's a dead guy on his lap. There's nails, and he's got a mane, and his tongue is out, and there's fire breathing serpents above him, and there's like all this stuff. And some people might think, what is happening? And like all of the Krishna kids are like, yay, he's so sweet. Look at him, so cute. It's adorable. Oh, right. And it's like, that's cute. Like, yeah, we love him. He's awesome. That's kind of what that looks like. You know, from the outside, it can look a little bit terrifying and gory and really intense. Or on the outside, you can look, and as we get through Krishna book, Krishna will kill a variety of demons. And you can think, this is incredibly violent. Who reads this to children? And the children are like, yay, Krishna did it. Like he killed a witch and he did this one. Like, you know, and you know, when you first send young Krishna kids to school, it's a little bit of a culture shock, because we've all grown up with Krishna killing all of these demons, and these are our fun time stories. And then, you know, you get people in regular school who are asking you like, oh, what's this? And we're like, he killed a demon. You're like, what kind of satanic demoniac rituals are you teaching your children at home? It gets a little concerning for the people on the outside. But for the people on the inside, we wind up just seeing the sweetness of it all. How Krishna protects us. How Krishna has protected his family and his friends. What amazing things Krishna has done. So not only is his personal feature very difficult to understand, but it's also straddling this you know, two-tone thing where you get a lioness, and for the cub, lioness is just mom, right? They play with her, they jokingly put themselves in her mouth, it's fine. But for the gazelle, they're like, oh no, that's like step one for me being lunch. I can't. So this is Krishna, completely inconceivable. So they continue. Our dear lotus-eyed Lord, you are the source of pure goodness. There are many great sages who simply by samadhi, or transcendentally meditating upon your lotus feet, and thus being absorbed in your thought, have easily transformed the great ocean of nescience created by the material nature to no more than water in a calf's hoof print. It's a really fancy way of saying, like, all of the ocean of obstacles that you're going through, the minute we meditate upon Krishna, becomes no more than jumping over the amount of water that can fit into a calf's hoof print. It's not a hurdle, that's a skip, right? So easy that children can do it. That's the glory of our Krishna. All of the biggest obstacles that are facing you in your life, the minute we turn there, they become nothing more than crumbs. It's nothing. It's nothing for Krishna to handle, and therefore nothing for Krishna's devotees to handle. It feels like a lot, though. I'm not going to lie. When you're in it, feels like a lot. When you're out the other side, you can kind of see, oh, I see how he saved me. That was nice. That's cute. Don't do that again. Like, can we not have that obstacle again? So yes, by meditating on Krishna, the way becomes clear and easy. Doesn't always feel clear and easy, but it definitely becomes clear and easy after it's done and you can see how it happened. So don't worry if you're not going through all of the troubles in your life, singing and dancing, like, oh, Krishna's right on the other side. It's fine. Run headfirst into danger. First of all, don't run headfirst into danger. And second of all, it will feel dangerous when you're going through it, because that is the hallmark of the material world. Material nature is none other than Yogamaya. This is Krishna's potency, which means she's very good at her job, which means she's very, very strong, which means she comes with the authority given to her by Sri Krishna, which means we are going to feel it when material nature is making her presence known in our lives. right? It's not going to feel great. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a test, right? It's not Krishna stressing you out if you're not stressed out. So even though for him, he has jokes and he's playing, like we in my family, we say that Krishna has a sense of humor, but sometimes only he's laughing. Right? He's exerting his will on your life. And look at the twists and turns, but I'll make it okay. But it's not stress unless you're stressed. And somehow Krishna likes to stress out his people. Why? Because somehow or other, in his supremely infinite wisdom, he has decided that is how they show me that they care. When they get really stressed out and they're really panic stricken and they're really intensely troubled and they long for me, that is the purest version of how they show they care. Couldn't you have figured out a different way for me to show you that I care? You're supremely infinite. You have infinite ways. Pick a different way for me to show you that I care. How about like the nice moments where we're all nice and everybody's calm and we make you nice little flowery arrangements? Then why is that not the epitome of me showing you that I care? Why the stress and the trouble? But this is God. And somehow or other, I have chosen to stick with this God. There are some people who've decided not to stick with this God, and they think, you know what? I'm not going to stick with this one. I'm going to go find another one. I'm going to go find a nameless one. But even still, we see people nowadays and they only call it by the universe. And they still say, why is the universe troubling me? Because behind the universal manifestation is a person with a very interesting sense of humor and a very interesting way of giving and showing love. It's Krishna. You can't get away. Even when you think you've gotten away, even when you try, he finds some roundabout way to sneak back into your life under some other name, under your own like atheistic tendencies and science and the mind. And then he sneaks back in again. Everybody has this idea like, why is the world troubling me like this? It's because there's a Krishna behind it and he's full of trouble. So the purpose of meditation is to focus the mind upon the personality of Godhead, beginning from his lotus feet. Simply by meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages cross over this vast ocean of material existence without difficulty. That without difficulty, I think, is subject to further scrutiny. I think, it's like that all's well that ends well. It's like, yeah, but look at what happened to me in the meantime. O self-illuminated one, the great saintly persons who have crossed over the ocean of nescience by the help of the transcendental boat of your lotus feet have not taken away that boat. It is still lying on this side. The demigods are using a nice simile. I like how Srila Prabhupada really has it. The demigods are using a nice simile. If one takes a boat to cross over a river, the boat also goes with one to the other side of the river. And so when one reaches the destination, how can the same boat be available to those who are still on the other side? To answer this difficulty, the demigods say in their prayer that the boat is not taken away. The devotees still remaining on the other side are able to pass over the ocean of material nature because the pure devotees do not take the boat with them when they cross over. When one simply approaches the boat, the whole ocean of material nescience is reduced to the size of water in a calf's hoof print. Therefore, the devotees do not need to take a boat to the other side. They simply cross the ocean immediately. It actually is a really nice simile when you break it down. You've got this idea, this great metaphor of this boat. And they're like, but when you're in the boat, you've got to take the boat. It's not simultaneously a boat on the other side. So how is it that these pure devotees don't need to take the boat? It's because it's not about the boat. It's about the ocean. The ocean shrinks. You hop across. There's still a boat right there. All that has to happen is that we approach Krishna. The minute we approach Krishna, everything changes, is the point. The minute we even think about approaching Krishna, everything changes. The ocean is not an ocean, it's just a puddle. And that boat no longer even needs to be a boat. It is the ends and the means. It's the end all be all. The minute we start approaching Krishna, Krishna opens up a wide array of his manifest, wonderful, unlimited pastimes. And before you know it, you've crossed over the problems. The things that you thought were insurmountable. The moment you approach Krishna, all of a sudden, oh, wait a second. Wait, it's done. It's like getting to the top of a roller coaster. You get there and there's all this panic, right? You get your heart's beating and you get this slow, like ascending, right? And then you get to the top, but then before you know it, the roller coaster's done. You're like, okay, yeah, well, okay, those 30 seconds while I was in it, it was really intense and I feared for my very existence. That is true. But it's so fast. And then next thing you know, you're out the other side. So this is what happens when we approach Krishna. Sometimes we do have those moments in life where you feel like, okay, I've been approaching Krishna and still this tunnel seems really dark and really long and I have no idea where I'm going. Help. Why are you not helping? Why have you left me in this dark tunnel? Please know that Krishna has not left you. He will be sending people, his own presence, miracles to light the way. And that as long and as dark as we think that tunnel is when we're in it, I guarantee you, had we not approached Krishna, it would feel so much longer. It would feel so much darker. We would feel so lost without Krishna's presence. So even when we think, is Krishna really helping me? Have faith. Absolutely he is. Because no one, I don't think there's anybody who can really understand Devaki and her faith. Years and years. And then even after Krishna is born, they still stay locked up in prison. Kamsa's still angry. They stay locked up in prison until Krishna comes and sets them free. Meanwhile, Krishna spends 10, 11 years in Vrindavan. So not only were they jailed before the birth of Krishna, but they're jailed after the birth of Krishna for 10, 11 years. So when we think that we are in the middle of something and we're trying to have faith, we can think back to Devaki and Vasudeva, the very parents of God, spending year after year in a confined situation, going through it, but still telling each other to have faith because they know that they've put Krishna in safe hands. They know Krishna is there and they know that Krishna will eventually come and set them free. Because can we imagine 16, 17 years of waiting in a horrible condition with nothing but faith and determination, patience, and some little bit of enthusiasm to keep you going so that you don't just, well, that's it. Just end of my life. This is austerity. This is tapasya. It's also why I don't complain on any Ekadashi. Krishna is just asking me to do this one little tapasya, one day, not 17 years of be in jail, through no fault of your own, right? With a demoniac brother and brother-in-law who might decide to kill you at any moment, who has made threats on like a monthly basis. Right? Anytime Kamsa gets upset, he's like, you know what? Krishna is causing me too much trouble. I'll go kill Vasudeva and Devaki immediately. I'm like, they haven't done anything. They've just been in jail. Why are we still threatening them? These are Krishna's parents. These are his dear ones. But he does come save them. I do feel like I have to keep saying that. Otherwise, it's like, you were in jail for 17 years. Happy Mother's Day. Like, I feel like, what kind of Mother's Day celebration was this? This started out really well, and then it just kept like, so he does save them. And then he lives a very, 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 very long time with them. So long with them. Krishna lives to he's about 125 when there's a Kurukshetra war. See, right? You don't think about it, right? We've got to really like put things into perspective. Krishna's over 100 at the time of the Kurukshetra war, and his parents are still there. So those 17 years, and they were already older before that, right? So they long lifespans, and they get to spend a lot of time with Krishna, thankfully. And I'm gonna hope that all of that evens out, because those years in jail, it's not great, not okay. So, but this meditation can bring one to the other side. Meditation means concentration upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Lotus feet indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are impersonalists do not recognize the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore their object of meditation is something impersonal. The demigods express their mature verdict that persons who are interested in meditating on something void or impersonal cannot cross over the ocean of nescience. Such persons are simply imagining that they have become liberated. I can kind of see that. I need someone personally to yell at when I'm feeling spiritually oppressed. When I'm feeling spiritually stressed, and like, you have exerted all of this will over my life, I need a person to turn to and really look in the eyes and say, why are you doing this to me? What have I ever done to you? Just tried to be nice. Why are you troubling me like this? I need the personalized aspect of Krishna's lotus feet so that I can cling to them in times of trouble and say, why are you like this? Right? I'm just trying to serve. Why aren't you helping me? So I need that very personal aspect. And if I didn't have it, I'm not sure I would be the same person. Without it, I feel as though I would be quite insecure. I feel like I would be constantly wondering, how does the universe reciprocate? What does that look like? What does it look like for me after this life? It is very, very comforting for me to know that there's a person waiting there with the most wonderful embrace, who's always been waiting for me, who's always been watching, having my back, trying to help, even when I stubbornly refuse the help that I just asked for 5 seconds ago. I need that. I need to know that that person is there with personal characteristics, because I have characteristics and personality traits. How can I think that the supreme divinity would then have no personality? Who am I? Where am I putting all this love that's in my heart? I feel like it would make me incredibly insecure as a person who gets very possessive when it comes to like the people that I love. I get extremely possessive. What do I possess when it comes to just a light? How do I show my possessiveness? What happens to my personality? Who's accepting all of that? So for me, I need that person. I need to know that there's a personality there with a sense of humor, with charm, with charisma, with a mischievous glint to their eye. That person who knows exactly what to say. That person who I know when things happen in my life, I'm like, great, now they're teasing me. Just what I needed in this moment. It's like, you've got so many jokes. Stop telling them. Like, like I need that person who's going to interact with me Who's going to laugh with me? Who's going to laugh at me? Who's going to laugh when I feel like I've got nothing? Who's going to remind me this is all not that serious? Who's going to remind me there's a home much better than this? There's a destination for you. There's a place you belong. It's not here. Like, okay, you're here and you're trying to make it, but it's such a struggle. There's a place where that struggle does not exist. I need that person to remind me. And so I'm forever thankful that there is a supreme person, a supreme personality who feels heartache. They say Krishna would think about Devaki and Vasudeva and feel heartbroken. Look at all that my parents had to endure for me, for my sake. How can I abandon them? So even though I feel like Krishna is the ultimate, Sour Patch Kid. You get all this stuff. You're like, first it's sour, but then it's really sweet. You got this experience and this spiritual experience. And sometimes when you first get into it, you think, wow, you feel, you get all this spiritual knowledge. And then sometimes the experience is really sour. Wait, you want me to do what? You want me to chant for how long? It's like, you don't understand. When I start this chanting and I'm alone and not in kirtan, the worst things start coming up. I don't think I want to look at that. It's really sour. And then the more you stick with it, it gets so infinitely sweet. So yeah, Sour Patch Kids and divinity. O lotus-eyed Lord, their intelligence is contaminated because they fail to meditate upon the lotus feet of your lordship. As a result of this neglectful activity, the impersonalists fall down again into the material way of conditioned life, although they may temporarily rise up to the point of impersonal realization. Impersonalists, after undergoing severe austerities and penances, merge themselves into the Brahman effulgence, or impersonal Brahman existence. But their minds are not free from material contamination. They have simply tried to negate the material ways of thinking. That does not mean that they have become liberated. Thus they fall down. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the impersonalist has to undergo great tribulation in realizing the ultimate goal. At the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated that without devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve liberation from the bondage of fruitive activities. The statement of Lord Krishna is there in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The statement of the great sage Narada is there, and here also the demigods confirm it. Persons who have not taken to devotional service are understood to have come short of the ultimate purpose of knowledge and are not favored by your grace. So we have a takeaway from our dearest Lileshwari. She says she has to leave early, but she wanted to share her takeaway. Krishna is always making himself present, sometimes through our struggles. And I pray we all have the faith and determination to keep looking for him and his love behind every challenge. Sometimes we get too caught up in our own struggles that we forget the rest of the story, that there's more to happen, that Krishna will eventually perform some miracle and save the day. And moments like this are the spoiler alerts for the miracles that are coming, for the success we're all made for. I hope we can always stick with Krishna and have enough patience and faith to wait for Krishna to finish the story. It always ends with a special miracle. I agree. I totally agree. And I feel like we're going to continue on in the next see-through next week. Next week will be a really special one. I might have to make it a slightly earlier time. I know, sorry for everybody with the different time zones, but it might have to be special because next week is the appearance day of Lord Nrsimha. And so, we must, it is imperative to have a see-through on that day. Just to even talk about Lord Nrsimha, tell this magnificent story, hear about what is happening. And it all fits in. Like, we're talking about parents, and Lord Nrsimhadev has a very interesting deal with parents and parental figures. So we'll talk about that. And it'll be really cool. I'll let you know, but I might have to make it a little bit earlier so that we do 9:30 to 10:30 this time, because I might have to do some things along the day. This is a lot to pack in, but I might make it 9:30 instead of 10, just to give us some time to really dive in deep in case I have to end early. But there'll be lots of special things. I do a special darshan of my Shalagram Shila on Nisringa's appearance day, so look out for that. There will be lots of incredible things happening. The devotional news channel, there's going to be a lot of breaking news happening throughout this week. Okay, so please stay tuned for all of your news updates. Lots and lots of things. Yesterday was Janu Saptami. Really quick story about that. There was a breaking news about a king named Bhagirat, and he was trying to save his family, trying to get the Ganga to descend. Spoiler alert, he does. Okay, great news. He gets the Ganga to descend. The problem is, she says she's too powerful. She says, I'll wash away the entire earth. How can we need something to catch my descent. So he prays to Lord Shiva. And finally, after lots of time of praying to Lord Shiva finally agrees. He says, okay, I'll catch it. And he catches her in his hair. And he makes his glorious top knot of his matted locks. But then she's stuck, because Lord Shiva is also equally powerful. So now this King Bhagirat is saying, well, how I needed her to come and help my family. They're a pile of ash, and I need her to flow through and touch my family, but now she's in your hair. Can you help? He's okay, fine. So he lets her out. And so she constantly flows from the top knot, which is like a nice little holding sink for the Ganges. And finally, she goes and she's washing through and doing her thing, and she goes through several hermitages and ashrams of different sages. And because she's so powerful, she kind of destroys them all along the way. And one such sage named Janu Rishi gets quite upset. He says, this is ridiculous. I was meditating in my own ashram, and now here she is. And so he swallows her. The whole thing. Now Maharaj Bhagirat is saying, can we please? Can you help? Like, I just needed one thing. And so he asks and he prays to Janu Rishi, please let her free. And so he releases her from his right ear. And so because he releases her from his right ear, she's considered to be like his daughter. And so she gets the name Jahnavi. And that was yesterday. So Janu Saptami is the day that he released her from his right ear, and she goes on. She does actually deliver his family. And so many countless souls, other and before, after, in all spheres of time. If you come on the India pilgrimage in September, we'll be visiting Rishikesh, where the Ganga flows nicely. And I am sure we will take a dip in her glorious waters. And so if you have not, please head to bhakticenter.org and look up. There's a list of events. And there's the sacred pilgrimage to India happening September 25th to October 8th. We'll be hitting up Jaipur, Udaipur, Rishikesh, and then Vrindavan. It is sure to be a really, really, really wonderfully cool trip. I'll be telling loads of stories. It'll be a challenge to get me to shut up during this trip. So if you are a person who wants to know about these stories and wonderful places, please join in. I guarantee you it'll be loads of fun. We'll get to see the Ganga. We'll get to take a dip in the Ganga. Janu Saptami was yesterday, also my birthday. I feel like it's the correlations were there. Come with us, take a trip to the Ganga. But that was Janu Saptami. So, but this week and next weekend, there are so many updates. There's so many things happening on the devotional realm with timelines and all kinds of things, and everything is merging. It's going to be great. For some reason, my nephew is calling me now. I had to decline that one. He's 8 and likes to call me at any given time of day. But I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to call him back. I wonder if he's trying to wish me a happy Mother's Day. I love that kid. Wishing you all a happy Mother's Day. Even the ones in male bodies, female bodies, animal bodies. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. At some point in time, our souls have all been motherly figures. Okay? And even if you don't think you're a motherly figure, I guarantee you, your soul has mothered someone in some capacity. You've given some advice, you've given some care and comfort. So happy Mother's Day to everybody. To all the souls out there, wishing you all a happy Mother's Day, praying that Krishna makes his presence known in your life through hook or by crook or through troubles or miracles or both. Praying that you're feeling Krishna's mercy and praying that we all get a little bit closer to Sri Radha, our ultimate abode of motherly compassion. We'll be talking more about it. Come back next week. I'll let you know the time for sure, but I'm thinking it's going to be 9:30 this time, so a half an hour earlier. Come back. It is sure to be really exciting. We're going to dive into lots of exciting pastimes with blood and guts and gore and little children who get saved from almost near certain death several times. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about the whole thing. We're going to talk about child discipline, about how to discipline your child and how not to discipline them. It's going to be amazing. Don't miss it. Come back. Until next time. Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna Book ki jai. All glories to all of you and the unlimited groups of devotees who make these gatherings possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking forward to seeing you all again next time.